Now, Google's always been, we're not paying for that, we're helping you by sending you links and all this. Google's now doing a rev share thing with Twitter for their content.
Do we know that for a fact?
Well, we don't know if it's rev share. They're paying for access to the feed to feature it in there.
They're paying for content.
Tyler, that is the best insight that you've made in the history of the program.
Cue it.
Insight from Tyler.
I actually did not think about it that way, but you're right. They're paying for access to the feed.
Does this give Rupert some
remember when we were in
clout in his argument with them? Now?
It does, actually, since you brought it up now. And remember when we were in Korea, Naver does not let itself be indexed by Google and Yahoo because they're smart enough to know if we don't index, people are going to stop using the product. So if I was in charge of the media companies, I would get the 5 biggest media companies together, go to Bing, and tell Bing, if you pay us this amount, not a huge amount, but just something, we will not let Google index our content. We will block it. And Google has said already, if you don't want to be in the Google index, you don't have to be. So you get top 10 publishers together, and they say to Google, either you pay us this amount to index us with the abstracts, or we're going to not allow you to index us. Who's going to use Google? If you can't get the New York Times and Washington Post and CNN and all these things, and Time Magazine, I mean, of course there'll be Huffington Post, of course there'll be Gawker blogs or Weblogs Inc. blogs. Not everybody's going to do it, but you could materially impact Google's business. Google could lose 10, 20 points of share in a year if the top 10 publishers opted out of Google. I do not know why they don't do it. I don't think that the publishers are aggressive and smart and gangster like that. Rupert Murdoch probably is, so he might pull something like that. That would be the most brilliant move in the history of this whole debate, is for one of those guys to say, you know what, we put a no index thing up, we don't want you indexing our site. We opt out.
Be ballsy.
Would be very interesting to see.
Imagine the New York Times.
I think it's going to have to happen.
New York Times.
It's a question of when.
New York Times only available in Bing. You can't get New York Times in Google.
And yeah, lucky that they have somebody like Bing that they could kind of pull
Actually,
into that equation.
why is Microsoft not doing it? If I was Microsoft, I would go immediately to New York Times and say, how much money are you making from your Google traffic?
Right.
You're making $50 million a year? We're going to give you $75 million a year. Bing is exclusively the indexer of New York Times news. I should be running Yahoo. This is what I would do as Yahoo. I would go to Yahoo. I'd say, I'll give New York Times 1% of our shares. We'll issue more shares. We'll give you 1% of our shares for a 5-year deal, and we're going to pay you 50% more than Google is making you right now, and we'll have your stuff syndicated to our site, and we'll split the advertising from that. It's a better deal. Give up some of your revenue.
You're going to deal with a couple big content providers. You'd really
would have. I mean, if you couldn't get people away. If you knew that there were the top 10 newspapers / news sources were not available in Google but were in Bing, would you use Bing?
I'd have no choice.
Would you or would you not?
I would. I absolutely would.
Right. So there you have it. And this is a guy who's like an anti-establishment socialist, communist, never want to use a Microsoft product guy. Not true. I'm joking.
I love my Xbox.